Yes. Basically, all of my growth has come from the past maybe year and a half, I would say. I've done the most growth in the past year and a half than the past 33 years. And that is due to finally being open to being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So anything that makes me uncomfortable, I'm just like, gotta do it. I thought I'm one of the few people who speaks English as their native language. And there were about 800 students in the program. And I was just like, I got this. I totally got this. And it was, I think, a 10 or 12-week program. And I made 0 sales. And I was so jealous because there were other people who had never done an online course before, and they had...
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives and lessons they've learned along the way. Today we're joined by Kasia Bukowska, an inspiring equine therapist and artist who turned a challenging lupus diagnosis into a journey of healing and transformation. With a unique blend of horse connection and creative expression, Kasia helps others uncover their emotional truths and embrace their authentic selves. Let's dive into this heartfelt conversation and discover the wisdom that horses and life have to offer for us. Can you tell us your name and your favorite quote?
My name is Kasia Bukowska, and I am an equestrian and equine artist.
Okay. What's your favorite quote?
My favorite what?
Quotes, or philosophy or belief. Your favorite quotes.
Okay. So, my favorite quote, that's a general quote, would be if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Because I feel like that's been my whole entire life. But if it has to come to like something that comes from me, it would be that animals, specifically my horses, don't judge the wounds that I carry. They are just present there and with me for who I am.
Okay, I guess we'll have to take it one step at a time. Let's start with the first, the general quote that has, that's been something that's influenced your life deeply. When did you come to this realization? How far back?
So I believe I was in 3rd grade. When this
Third
really
grade. Wow.
third grade, yes. Because this year I recently uncovered a blocked memory that I had from 3rd grade. It was actually quite traumatizing for me, and I processed it. And I have been able to start reading books because up until about a year ago, I have never finished reading one entire book, which was all connected to this one trauma in 3rd grade. And this trauma was of a student in my class pointing at me and calling me retarded in front of everyone. Because I didn't read very well. And so everyone laughed at me. Everyone was pointing fingers at me and everyone laughed at me. And I just felt so awful. And at that moment, I decided to do whatever it took to become one of the top smartest people in my class. And I literally did that. Unfortunately, that took a really big toll on my mind and my emotions and my spirit. And it was really difficult for me, but I ended up being number 1 by 5th grade. I went from the slow class to the gifted class.
Wow.
They put me in, it was called GATE, Gifted and Talented Education.
Wow.
So I started going to the advanced after-school program. And at the very end of the year, when everyone was like, oh, goodbye, and the parents were there, the whole auditorium was full, the whole school was there. They called me on stage to give me a trophy because they said they had never seen such a drastic change in any student before. Yes. So I decided in 3rd grade at that moment when someone called me that name that I would just keep going and try again until I got it.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what exactly did you do?
I started studying so much. So I would read things over and over and over again. And for me, it was so difficult to read because I would read one paragraph and I would have no idea what I just read. So I would read it like 5 times and I would be taking notes the whole time. And it was, I would barely sleep. And it's really sad to think that a third grader would be so overwhelmed by school. And I actually started getting some tutoring, mostly in math, because math wasn't my greatest subject. But in regards to like reading or writing, I would just constantly be studying, constantly be in my room, constantly be trying to figure it out. And usually that was on my own, unless I had the tutor for math, but everything else was just on my own. I felt like I had to be very independent and that I had to do it on my own because I saw other kids and it came easy to them. And I thought it wasn't fair. It didn't come easy to me, but maybe I thought I just have to try harder and do more and it will come easy. But honestly, it did not come easy to me until about 1 year ago when I realized why it didn't come easy to me. And that was facing the trauma, to truly feel the pain of what it felt to be made fun of, to relive that experience, to cry on the floor in fetal position and to let it go because I never allowed myself to fully feel it. I was so embarrassed in front of the class. I just held it in. I didn't cry. I didn't react. I was just like, oh, trying to play it off as cool, like, oh, it's fine, whatever. And I never told anyone. I never told my family because I was so embarrassed and I never cried about it. So here a year ago, at 34 years old, a year ago, I cried my eyes out. I cried my heart out. And I cried because I never allowed myself to do that. And now reading and studying comes easy to me. And I would say I'm even obsessed and addicted to now reading because I never got to in my past. It was always a struggle.
Yeah, I'm glad you finally got to deal with that memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yes.
and you made
I'm
mention
very-
earlier on that you talked about fetal position. Is there something peculiar about crying in the fetal position?
I think it takes me back to my not even childhood, but even before that, like being in my mother's womb and maybe even feeling her stress, her anxiety, and her pain. And due to like, I believe it's called epigenetics, that everything that she was feeling, I was feeling. And when she was feeling maybe some sort of embarrassment and stress, then I felt that as a fetus. And so when I was feeling this embarrassment in this experience in 3rd grade, maybe at some point during my mother's pregnancy, I don't know if I'm just reaching here, but I'm making some conclusions. And maybe I felt what she felt.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I'm glad that I think recently one of the episodes I did with a guest, he mentioned that we need to deal with what scares us. And it's amazing that what you mentioned was that some of the things, the baggage that you kind of have bottled in from when you were in 3rd grade, you needed to deal with that in order for you to grow and be liberated and kind of like become yourself.
Yes, basically all of my growth has come from the past maybe year and a half. I would say I've done the most growth in the past year and a half than the past 33 years. And that is due to finally being open to being comfortable, being uncomfortable. So anything that makes me uncomfortable, I'm just like, gotta do it. And if it's way too overwhelming, then how can I take baby steps to be slightly uncomfortable and then to eventually get to being very uncomfortable?
Yeah. Wow. Um,
Because that's where the growth lies.
yeah, that's true. You shared about this academic story of how you needed to read a lot, and that's like far, like way. I want us to come very close to to this time, like maybe 4 years ago. Has there been any experience where you needed to try again and again and again for you to succeed, and then you eventually did succeed? Like something very recent, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 8, 10 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
I have been trying to do these online courses and online webinars and trying to also monetize off of it. So the first time I did it, it was just actually I was planning for 2 years and I couldn't get myself to do it, but I was just trying to do it. So I decided to sign up for a course on how to do a course online, which sounds kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I thought I'm one of the few people who speaks English as their native language. And there were about 800 students in the program. And I was just like, I got this. I totally got this. And it was, I think, a 10 or 12-week program. And I made 0 sales. And I was so jealous because there were other people who had
Yeah.
never done an online course before, and they had 15K, 20K launches. And I was really shocked and jealous. And so I tried again with all of the techniques and stuff that I learned, and still it was nothing. And so I was just like, maybe I'm not meant to do this. Maybe it's the universe telling me no. Um, but then I saw something online for this seminar in Krakow, and I was like, I'm just gonna go. And I got so inspired, and I signed up for another course on it's more about business, yeah, but more about like business. But there's still information about how to monetize online. And I did it again, and lo and behold, 0 sales again. And so I was just like, what am I doing wrong? But, the third time that I did it, I didn't get so angry as before. I wasn't jealous. All of those negative feelings didn't come and blind me from learning what I did wrong or learning what I did right, actually, to focus on what did I do right and then what could be improved and what could I do differently.
Yeah.
So I analyzed all of that, which in the past, I looked at it differently. I just thought, like, I did everything that the lady said and it didn't work. And it was just like, I was angry. And this time I was just like, no, I need to analyze this. So I came at it with a different mindset. And then I did my next webinar. And I didn't monetize as much as I thought I would and as my goal was, but I did sell some VIP spots and I was really happy because I made that little improvement, that little tweak, and there was a difference. And
Yeah.
so I knew that, okay, I tweaked that, I got a good result. What can I analyze from this last time? And now I'm planning my next webinar in June.
Just for context, what exactly do you do, and what exactly do you make webinars?
So I talk about horse connection training, horses as mirrors, and how we can better communicate with our horses. So by looking at their body signals, their body language, what their ears are doing, how their muscles are moving, their energy, and how we can use our body language and our breathing techniques, our breathing and our posture and positioning to better communicate with our horse. And when we can communicate better and we can feel things and we let our horse feel things and then we feel things, it's all about feeling.
So
Then the
basically,
connection is something
you
that
are
is,
you are a horse whisperer, if there's something like that.
yes. Yes, in a
Yeah,
nutshell.
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I wish I was in. Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
Poland.
I wish I was in Poland. I'll probably pay you a visit to go ride on the horses. Oh, maybe when I visit Poland.
Where are you located? Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so. So when you made the first sale, at least something started working. So how did you then improve from a couple of sales to
So what I realized is that I shouldn't do too much differently. Otherwise, I might not know what the 1 or 2 tweaks that I needed to do to really truly make a change. Maybe I didn't need to change 20 things. I didn't need to throw the whole thing out the window and start over. I just needed to maybe change the wording a little bit in the beginning, or change the way I did the ending, or change the way, for example, how long it was, or maybe I needed to look at the price. And actually, from my last webinar, I realized it was the price point. And it wasn't anything about how I was teaching, how I was selling. It was that I didn't do due diligence in analyzing my ideal client and my target market, because I thought it was one type of person, because I did do several surveys and I did interview 3 people who offered to participate in an hour-long interview, but I realized that those people weren't my ideal client. I thought they were. I thought they were, but they weren't. It's a whole journey and it's a process of figuring out who your ideal client is. And I realized, okay, so that's not their price point right now. It could be after 2 years of working with me, but since they don't really know me, they don't have enough time to know, and trust me to be able to invest that kind of money into learning with me. So they need something that's more digestible, more bite size, and get an introduction to me. So I learned that, and I'm really excited because I know just how much more powerful my next webinar will be now that I have the information that I need. So this will be the 4th time. And so I'm trying and trying and trying again. And I already feel like it's a success because I learned so much.
Yeah, I think it's as if all the guests I've had so far, everything is just connecting together. Because recently I had a guest, and we were having the conversation, and one of the things I told the guest was sometimes we have an experience and then we learn the lesson, where sometimes learning the wrong lesson is even worse than not learning at all. Because, for example, you had that issue with webinars and course. You could say, oh, well, webinars don't work. Those people that are saying that webinars work, they're scammers, they just lying. Well, but that's the wrong lesson to learn. Like,
You're totally right. I 100,000,000% agree with you, because that's the mindset that I had. The first time I took that course on how to create a course, I was like, it doesn't work for horse people. It works for architects, but it doesn't work for me. And I didn't have the mindset to learn the lesson at that time, but I was still determined to, like, okay, this lady didn't know what she was talking about. I'm going to find someone else. But she did know what she was talking about. I just wasn't ready to receive.
It's always easy to
I
put the
wasn't
blame
ready
on
to
someone else.
receive the lesson.
It's always easy to put the blame on someone else. Like, the course is not right. The lady doesn't know how to teach. What she's saying, she doesn't even know how to explain. So many reasons we could find it, but we never want to. Like, our ego is on the line for us to agree that, wait, maybe I'm not just getting it. It seems like I'm getting it, but
Yeah. And when you start going down this path, this mindset, then you start to look for more and more evidence about why you're right and why the other person is wrong. And I realize this now. At the time, I didn't know I was doing this, but there were a few other horse trainers in this group, because I told you there were like 800 people or something in there. So I found a few of the other people and I asked them, like, these horse trainers, how did you guys do? They had 0 sales. And so, of course, I'm looking for evidence as to why I'm right. And it's like, see, it doesn't work for horse people. But that was totally the wrong mindset for that. That was totally not it
the
at
funny
all.
thing is that whatever you look for, you always see an evidence to support it. If you're looking for evidence why it doesn't work, you always see people with that for that thing. So I think it's called confirmation bias. When you are looking for something to confirm, and the moment you just see any evidence that is like, of course, I told you, it doesn't work. Look at them, look at them, look at them. And you're like, what?
Yes. Yeah. I recently heard something about the reticular activating system, a part of your brain that actually looks to support evidence of whatever you believe. So if you believe that you're going to see butterflies, then you're going to start searching for butterflies, even though consciously you might think, oh, it's just a game or whatever, and I'm not actually going to be looking for butterflies, but subconsciously, you're still going to be seeking them out. And you're going to try to prove yourself right, as you just mentioned. And you will find anything, a t-shirt, a sticker, a real butterfly. You will be searching everywhere to find that butterfly to prove yourself right. So I would just say to everyone, because I just try to look now for evidence that I am successful. I say, I am successful. And then I try to think, what evidence can I find to prove that I am successful? And I actually do like a successes list, and I like to do this at night so that I remember all of the great things that I did during the day. So I pick 5 things personally, and there are some days where I feel really bad and really lazy, but I still have to write down 5 successes of the day because it keeps me in that mindset of looking for evidence of why I am successful.
Oh, that's such a
Yes, and especially before bed, because as you're starting to fall off to sleep, then the last thing you're thinking about is how successful you were. So you go into the lower brainwave state and it starts sinking in your subconscious. And so that's a great way to also start reprogramming your brain to be more successful, to be that better version of yourself.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Kasia, for sharing this your favorite quotes and sharing your stories. I'm particularly happy and really grateful that you didn't hold back. You really shared some of like the deeper stories and how you cried, and that inspired me, and I know it's going to inspire my listeners. Thank you so much, Kasia. What
Thank
do
you so
you
much for having me.
what do you do, and where can listeners connect or
I am on social media, including TikTok, equestrian Kasia on TikTok. I am all over Instagram. I have 2 accounts on Instagram, one for my horse artwork and then one for my horse connection training and mindset. So that would be equestrian Kasia Bukowska for Instagram. And then my art Instagram is Kasia Bukowska Art. They can also just type in Kasia Bukowska horse art on Google and I will pop up everywhere.
can you just for those listening, can you spell your name? Of course, I can see the spelling of your name, but I just want you to spell it out loud so that for those that are listening, they get to know that it's not like
Okay. Yes. So Kasia Bukowska.
I feel like I feel like I'm the headmaster and you are doing a spelling bee. I say spell. That's correct. A round of applause for her. Yeah,
Champion, spelling
you
bee
get an ice cream.
champion.
You get an ice cream. You get an ice cream. No ice cream for you. Yeah. Wow, thank you so much, Kasia, for
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful in this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.